morning. Welcome to the midweek edition of your breakfast show on Leadership Television, Inside Nigeria. Today is July 10, 2024. And of course, my name is Winifred Ugbebo, your host on the program. On this segment of the show, we have newspapers, national newspapers actually, for review on this segment. Of course, we have Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. We always lead with leadership. Let's see what leadership is offering on its first page today. Leadership. Tinubu creates livestock ministry despite Oronsaye report. Tinubu creates livestock ministry despite Oronsaye report. It should be recalled that Oronsaye had actually in his report said that some measures should take place of MDAs. We have so many MDAs and that are doing almost similar thing together. So he actually in that report profiled that MDAs should be merged, MDAs with similar functions. And today's main headline story, Tinubu creates livestock ministry despite Oronsaye's report, which calls for measures of MDAs. And the riders heads Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms alongside Atahiru Jega. Atahiru Jega was the INEC chairman. Experts worried over funding for additional ministry. Nigeria targets less meat imports. Main headline story today on leadership. Let's see what the story is talking about on page 4 of the paper. President Bola Tinubu has declared plans to create a Ministry of Livestock Development despite his administration's declared plans to cut down the number of ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, in line with the recommendations of the Oronsaye report. Yesterday, while inaugurating the Presidential Committee on Implementation of Livestock Reforms in Abuja, the president stated that a Ministry of Livestock Development will be created to further exploit the vast potential in the area. The committee's work is to address obstacles to agricultural productivity and open up new opportunities that benefit farmers, herders, processors, and distributors in the livestock farming value chain. These are just the snippets of that main headline story on leadership today. Tinubu creates livestock ministry despite Oronsaye report. Now we'll move to other stories on the cover of leadership. Osoba presents my life in the public eye. Reps NBA differ on Samoa agreement. Impan raises concern over safety of abducted reporters. The story is on page 7 of leadership. Some reporters too actually were kidnapped in Kaduna, and up till now they have not been released. Impan, that is the National Proprietors Association of Nigeria, raises concern over safety of abducted reporters. Federal government spends 7.7 trillion naira on debt servicing in 2023. This story runs on page 25 of leadership, and we'll move gradually to the masthead where we have weighted salaries. Varsity workers protest, say we are hungry. The story is on page 4 of leadership. And on the business bourse, exchange rate cripples vehicle importation as volume draws by 60%. Above the masthead, El-Rufai audited accounts show no 423 billion naira fraud, according to aides of former governor of the state, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. Northwest Commission bill ready for Tinubu's assent, says Senate. From that, we move to the page 3 of the paper where we have our permanent fixture, our stand. Our stand today is on tackling violent extremism. Tackling violent extremism. From our stand, we move to the back page where we have Wednesday column with Olufunke Baruwa. Olufunke Baruwa is writing on a tale of two elections, the United Kingdom and Nigeria. Of course, is a tale you want to read on today's Wednesday column. And for continuation of the headline stories, the editorial and the inside stories, log on to the website of leadership, www.leadership.ng. From leadership, we move to the next paper on our menu, also with similar headline story, and that is The Punch. The Punch is punching with NEF, that is Northern Elders Forum, demands grazing reserves as Tinubu plans livestock ministry. NEF demands grazing reserves as Tinubu plans livestock ministry. President sets up committee, urges members to work on creation of new ministry. Ministry will end decades-long gory farmers, nomadic cattle herders clashes, says federal government. And of course, underneath that story, we have the picture of President Tinubu with governors, ESCO, and also members of the newly inaugurated Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms at the Presidential Villa in Abuja yesterday. Beneath that, Kwara Kano varsities expel 204 students for misconduct. Rescue adopted Kaduna journalists' families, Mpa tells federal government. Hoodlums occupied deposed Rano Emir's palace. The story is on page 24 of The Punch. And beside the masthead of The Punch, Samoa agreement, Revs demand suspension as NBA faults same-sex allegation. Above the masthead, fuel crisis lingers as NNPC seeks fresh $2 billion crude-backed loan. Blackout, NEC Rosa top sanctions against discos. 19 Nigerian airports not viable. FAN, that is Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. 19 Nigerian airports not viable. With that, we conclude the review of The Punch front headline stories today, Wednesday, July 10, 2024. For continuation of these headline stories, log on to the website of The Punch, www.punchng.com. From The Punch, we move over to the next paper, still with same headline story, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian says new ministry, Tinubu woos herders with livestock ministry, increases fiscal strain. New ministry, Tinubu woos herders with livestock ministry, increases fiscal strain. It's on page 6 of The Guardian. Senate raises alarm over empty food reserve, warns of imminent protest. Kwasu expels 175 students for theft, possession of firearms orders. NBA allays concerns over Samoa agreement as reps orders suspension. Federal government enlists NSA military to secure power infrastructure against vandalism. Farmers decry sale of Ondo Forest Reserve to FEM. Witness tells court how Emefiele moved funds to wives' covers. The story is on page 5 of The Guardian. NDDC to borrow 1 trillion naira to fund 2024 budget. NNPCL to borrow another $2 billion crude-backed loan is a story that runs on page 5 of The Guardian. And with that, we also conclude review of front headline stories today on The Guardian. For more, log on to www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we move to the next paper, Daily Sun. Daily Sun is still on food crisis issue. It says food crisis, Senate warns of nationwide protest, says food reserves empty. Food crisis, Senate warns of nationwide protest, says food reserves empty. Second headline, main headline story on Daily Sun cover says, Southeast Town Unions back governors' demand for Kano's freedom. U.S. troops complete first phase of withdrawal from Niger. This story is on page 28 of Daily Sun. U.S. troops complete first phase of withdrawal from Niger. And other stories on the cover of Daily Sun today are stop cursing Nigeria because of hardship, says Shettima tells citizens. That is the Vice President Shettima. Stop cursing Nigeria because of hardship. Tinubu creates Ministry of Livestock Development, inaugurates Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms. Mieti Allah Hayes. Federal government spent 5.78 trillion naira on debt servicing in first 9 months of 2023 budget office. Bill to create special parliamentary seats for women passes second reading in House of Reps. Proposes 74 NAS 108 state assembly seats. Pan worried over fate of abducted Kaduna-based journalist. Sanu Nasu hold nationwide protest. Appeal to president over withheld salaries. While SCPC laments high rate of sexual harassment in primary, secondary schools. Reps ask federal government to suspend implementation of Samoa Agreement. It didn't infringe on our rights, sovereignty, MBA. And of course, with that, we also conclude review of Daily Sun newspaper today. For more, log on to www.thesun.ng. From Daily Sun, we have our last paper on our menu, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard says 400 billion naira oil production shortfall threatens 2024 budget. 400 billion naira oil production shortfall threatens 2024 budget. Federal government tackling issues presidency. 2 million barrel per day production achievable, Kyari, NNPC, GMD. Nigeria needs to attract contractors back, IOCs, that is international oil companies. We have the picture of Eniken Lokbobori, Minister of State Petroleum, and Mary Kyari, MD, and NPCL on that story. 400 billion naira oil production shortfall threatens 2024 budget. Beneath that main headline story, we also have other stories on the cover of Vanguard. Second main headline says, hunger, Nigerians losing patience, Senators Tinubu. 423 billion naira was neither earned nor diverted, El-Rufai. Suspends Samoa Agreement implementation, Reps tell federal government. NBA says no cause for federal government to recognize LGBTQ rights. And in sports, Super Eagles, NFF wants Pesero back. We move to the stories above the masthead of Vanguard. Scarcity, fuel shortage, queues worsen in Lagos, Abuja, others. Excuse me. NNPCL seeks $2 billion oil-backed facility to finance operations. Tinubu creates Ministry of Livestock Development. Ministry can end herders, farmers clashes, banditry. Arewa Economic Forum. Excuse me. Umpan calls for release of abducted journalists. And lastly, on the cover of Vanguard today, with her salary, Sanu Nasu cripple nations varsities. With that, we also conclude a review of front headline stories on Vanguard newspaper. For more, log on to www.vanguardngr.com. With that, also, we'll conclude today's Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on Leadership Television. Don't forget to join us same time, same station tomorrow for another fresh edition of the program. My name is Winifred Ubebo. Don't forget to join us for news on the hour on this station. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.